All right, we're back again for the 80th time because we're a huge glutton for punishment on this channel. Please leave a comment if you don't care, because I'm certainly beyond caring now. And thanks to Google software, we're going to miss a day of space weather videos if everything remains on the current schedule. Although, it looks like we may have it fixed, folks. So, check it out. Here's the sun on 171 angstroms. We're looking at the last quite a few hours here. About 17 hours of solar activity there. There's a whole bunch of filamentary stuff going on in the south, as well as in the east. You'll see it in 304 angstroms. It'll be super obvious. And I hope the frame rate is as good as possible, folks. If you see any spam in the description or in the comments or anything like that, please just ignore it. View the normal links that you typically see on our videos. Anyways, there's the 304 angstroms view. Whole bunch of filaments on the east, as well as some crown prominences there in the south, indicated an increase in solar activity. So cheers for that. Crown prominences are associated with solar maximum, not minimum. So for that, we thank you. Anyway, this live stream might take a little longer than usual today, as there have been some issues. Let's take a look at the coronal holes as they rotate through the Earth-facing region here in 193 angstroms. Giant, now it's like a mushroom-shaped coronal hole. Shout out Gruger Family Fungus. FamilyFungi.ca. Shout out Gruger. When are you sending me a mushroom log? I'm going to build an entire mushroom fortress. And no characters from Mario are allowed. Anyway, the North Pole coronal hole looking huge. We have this giant mushroom-shaped coronal hole right in the Earth-facing region. Let's move on to more data in hopes that it will load. Here's the very old synoptic map that was written at 3:43 UT before even I got up. So anyway, we have 0 sunspots, 10.7 centimeter radial flux up to 67. And let's get that to reload. We may experience a slower stream today, folks, as you may have noticed a few little technical difficulties with the channel, and that's because of Google removing services. I guess they don't want people sharing their screens. Anyway, we see some recent oddities here in the solar wind, as it's been around 354 recently. And we see a very straight line here in the solar wind density and speed. Check it out. Looks like a dip in the temperature. Could be anomalous data. Let's look at the ACE. And the ACE seems to agree. So some odd data there. Solar wind density just had a recent spike. No explanation for that one, folks. Here's where your planets are. There's where they'll be in 7 days. Enjoy that. Ah, yes, and thanks for leaving a comment, smAsho staff, as it sounds like everything's working out. It will be optimal if this page load. Oh, there we go. We're going to look at the stereo A coronagraph, as we did see some activity that we weren't expecting there. A little bit of coronal mass ejection type activity. Let's see if there's any Earth facing. Just a continuing pulsation of that area of the corona, folks. No apparent major release, especially in the Earth-facing area. Let's continue on. Pardon my loud keystrokes, as I have to bear down on my mouse. I forget I don't have to bear down on the keyboard. So let's see what the magnetosphere has been doing in the past 4 hours. As we did see those oddities in the solar wind data, we expect to see oddities in this also. So check out the anomalous magnetosphere movies. Right around the middle is where we should see some strange density spikes. We see a dense solar wind coming in there, shown in dark blue. Keep in mind the white is the low density. That's the way the magnetosphere works. Here's the pressure. And something hitting right now in the past few minutes. You'll see it at the end of the pressure movie also. I'll rock it back for you to give you a better view. And this is 4 hours of data if everything is working correctly. Courtesy University of Michigan. There's going to be a spike right at the end. And there's that spike, which is hitting the ionosphere right now while we stream this video. Is that divine providence or is that just shit luck? We'll look at ground perturbations. And if you look at the current map, you're going to get a still image. There's a spike going on. It looks like a huge spiral centered around in between Greenland and Siberia somewhere. Let's just look at the global view and then continue on, as we have a whole bunch of stories to cover. And I feel like a fish out of water doing this video at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Anyway, there's that data, also part of the space weather modeling framework. Which allows the University of Michigan Geospace Model V1.5. Sudden little spike there at the end. And so that's something to monitor throughout the day as the day rolls on. Want to know what's going on above your head? Well, looks like I need to refresh in-the-sky.org. And there's a whole lot of stuff up there right now, folks. I know you can't see it. You might be able to see the moon, but I doubt it. Also, you've got Mars, you've got Venus, you've got the Sun, and you've got Mercury. If you want to animate this one, there's what it looks like. It's a pile-up. We're not going to talk about the smAsho mission, but it is in the links, as we've got to get done making our video, which is only about 10 hours late today. Cheers. Check us out on Patreon if you want to support the channel, since YouTube doesn't and tries to shake us down for money. The only tier on Patreon is $1. $1, folks. Also, if you're in the market for CBDs, check out the links in the description below the video for that, to the Hemp Lucid Spaced Out campaign specifically formulated for our spaced out viewers. Hopefully, your inflammation will be reduced as a result. And thanks for everybody who's tuning into the live stream. If you're tuning into the non-live stream, please leave a comment. Tell us where you're located. Let's check out spaceweather.com, where they're talking knocked loose in clouds. And let's just keep moving on here. There's still a lot of stuff to cover, folks. A lot of interesting news stories. And we're hoping not to call President Trump an economic illiterate today. KP index is steady at 1 for the past 12 hours. XRay Flux is still flatline for weeks. And we are talking about the XRay Flux measured at the GOES. GOES electron flux is rising quickly. So again, solar activity ramping up, and keep in mind, folks, sunspots and radial flux are not the only thing that governs the power of the sun. The magnetic fields really do run the show. We're seeing the highest electron levels we've seen in a while here as far as the standard electron flux, the between 2 and 0.8 mega electron volts. And let's look at the animation of the ionosphere movie to see what happened since I would have normally made the video. And you can see the South Atlantic anomaly in full effect, making a jerky-looking transition as the sun goes around the planet, charging up the ionosphere. You can tell where the sun is, folks. The sun is about right here. It's in front of where you see the highest charge portion. And it's actually kind of discharged right now. Let's see. Here's the latest image. It's fairly discharged right now, so the shock wave that's currently hitting is going to have some effects. Probably nothing like power outages, though. We'll see a KP at 2, maybe. Here's the GOES magnetometer. And it's still looking pretty smooth as we are in the North Pole-oriented portion of the current sheet. We decided to pull up a line-of-sight ecliptic plane field plot view today instead of the standard top view ecliptic plane field plot. And I just wanted to note the way the B field is pulled around, and the B field here is designated as the dark blue line. That central blue line there, that's the average, and that's the orientation of the main power of the B field. I thought that might be interesting, as there's a bit of a transitional mode going on right now, and we're going to remain in the North Pole oriented portion, it looks like, for a bit. But let's get a better idea by looking at the top view. And again, keep in mind this data is derived from about 50 ground-based magnetometers on Earth, as well as stereo B noted here, and stereo A noted here in front of my pointer. So we're going to remain in the North Pole-oriented portion shown in green on this map. And consumer tip, if I could have a webcam view here with a small window of my face on the screen, I would do it. But we're not there yet, folks, as Google has decided to shut off services to certain portions of YouTube's streaming services, which is why we had to scramble to get software together in a few hours to make sure that we don't break our pattern of not missing a space weather video any possible day. Check us out on Facebook if you like, facebook.com/smAsho. Also, here's a, I don't know why I'm on this. I really have no idea. There's got to be some reason, but I'm just going to close this tab entirely and tell you to check us out on Minds, also. I mean, Gabs, also. Gab. I'm going to learn how to speak the English language and tell you to check us out on Gab. Gab.com/smAsho. And don't worry, folks, we're not really going to fold the channel. Although, interesting offers will be considered. Check us out on Minds.com, Minds.com/smAsho. Dear Google, oh, I'm not going to read that. That would transcribe that, Google. Anyway, please press like and and subscribe on YouTube, as occasionally we're able to compose a coherent sentence. So thanks all you new subscribers who came over from Adapt 2030. We were not expecting our channel's software situation to suddenly break down, but I think we've got stuff put back together. Let's do an earthquake rundown, as we typically do, and we see a swarm in Oceania. Check it out. And I've zoomed way too far into Australia to an uncomfortable level. Shout out USGS. What is going on with your site? 6.9, largest quake of quite a while there in Indonesia, happening. Oh, geez, what time is it? Happening several hours ago. What time is it? What's the date? I don't know where I am. Where am I? All right. So we see some quakes in Chile, Indonesia. Another 4.8 in near Broome, Australia. That one far east of the ones that far west of the ones that occurred less recently. 4.2 at Chile, 5.4 at Chile. A bunch of quakes centered in that same spot, folks. 5.4 very far south in the Pacific, on the East Pacific Rise. Another Chilean quake. So there's a swarm going on there in Chile, folks. Also, we see Mexico getting hit by a 4.8. 4.9, nowhere near any kind of shown plate boundaries. And there's that Indonesian quake, a 6.9 on the southwestern portion of that plate boundary. Zoom in on that location quick if the thing loads, and it does. Could have caused some damage there, although it looks more uninhabited than inhabited. Please leave a comment if you felt that quake. And if you thought we were really going to delete our channel. California continues to get hit over and over. And here's a deep quake in Indonesia, about 1/3 of the way from that large quake to Fiji. That one's at 338 kilometers. 5.5 in the Philippines. That one's at depth. Also a 5.0 in the Philippines. Here's one near a volcano in Alaska. That's only a 3.3 though, so we will not comment further. And there's a 4.3 in Chile. How about a volcano rundown? Seems like it's about that time. If you're tuning in live, please leave a comment. As I see 5 viewers, so thanks. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about the 800 videos spamming YouTube today. It was not intentional. Volcano rundown. Looks like a Biko exploded. But first, Karimsky exploding. 15,000 foot plume there. A Biko. 5,000 foot flight level there. Uluwan. Increase in seismic activity at Uluwan. Shout out Papua New Guinea. Please do not build a tent inside the caldera of Uluwan. That would be a bad choice. Back on the list again is Tangkuban Parahu. Real easy to pronounce there in West Java. Ash alert issued. Sanjiang Api intermittently exploding, producing an 8,000 foot ash plume there. 6,000 foot plume at Takono. The alert level was raised at Veniamenov. That sounds very Russian. Veniamenov. On the Alaskan Peninsula, Popocatépetl still exploding. 21,000 foot plume. Sangay in Ecuador still exploding. 19,000 foot plume. Revenador still exploding, as well as Sabancaya. 15,000 foot and 21,000 foot ash plumes, respectively there. Please do not attempt to triple jump over those caldera. Here are the jets. Notice the southern jet is blowing some very cold air, as well as some very hot air, yada, yada, yada. Shout out Marianne Williamson if you're watching this. We are hoping that dark, shady forces do not take over mankind, and that love and respect and inclusion to the conversation about science rule the universe, since they already do. Anyway, there's the northern jet, which is all over the place and barely resembles a jet. We have a ongoing anticyclone located right here under my pointer there in northern, get that out of here, in northern Texas, northwestern Texas that is. And you notice how screwed up the jet stream is. It's going in all kinds of weird directions. Check out this S bend right here. It's like a backwards S. And then a 5 right next to it. Does that say 25, folks? Let us know if you're a numerology nerd and 25 is somehow interesting to you in that it's 5 squared. Let's refresh AccuWeather.com's Doppler radar. Major Sasquatch activity going on in northern Texas. If you're there and you see somebody looking like Chewbacca psychically linking with you and making you tiptoe through the psychic tulips, please leave a message, as well as scattered heavy thunder showers all across the whole eastern portion of the U.S., heavy stuff in South Dakota, and let's keep moving on here because I'm tired of trying to make videos today. Very tired of trying to make videos. Check this out. Some folks were camping by Kentucky's Mammoth Cave. Shout out Anthony Cozzoli for coming up with this great story yesterday, which I found on Newsweek. Anyway, Brad Ginn and Madeline Duran were woken by strange noises where some guy showed up to their tent and said, "Hey man, you better watch out, you're in Bigfoot country." And they thought it seemed a little weird that he'd say that. So they decided to... Oh, he also told them to arm themselves. He said, "I hope you got weapons," and then he flashed a gun at him. He was like, "I have this gun, so if anything happens, then just yell and I'll come," Duran told the station that the crazy guy said. Then moments later, they heard gunshots. They dialed 911 and then hiked 5 miles to reach park rangers. So anyway, it's not a report of a Sasquatch sighting. It's a report of some nut walking up telling people that he's going to hunt that he's hunting Sasquatches and that they better be careful and they should get armed, then firing a gun, and then, yeah. Great story, though. It's good for quite a few laughs. By the way, there was a single encounter reported in 2003 where a guy heard a cry that sounded like, quote, "a woman being brutalized." So if you use Occam's razor to decode that one, I mean, chances are, like if you're in the woods, right, and you hear the sounds of a woman being brutalized, is your theory going to be that that's Bigfoot activity or that that's crime? Because that sounds like crime to me. Just saying. Although I'm not an affirmed Sasquatch researcher. Do not stalk me, Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, etc. Let's refresh the thing and look at the stuff at the place where the dudes are like, yo. Here's the U.S. water vapor map, courtesy the NASA GOES interactive water vapor. Interactive weather satellites, that is. And if you'd like to see your comments displayed on the screen, well, that's not going to happen because it's too much work for zero pay. Anyway, here's this huge anticyclone right over the Texas stovepipe. Did they call that a stovepipe or a chimney? I don't know. Over the Oklahoma panhandle. When you see clockwise rotating systems in the northern hemisphere, that's called an anticyclone. And that's dominated by things like hot temperatures, positive charge, and lots of protons. Actually, it's usually more massive cold air, but let's not get too crazy. Ass in the hole in the ground section. Let's read the comments from Instagram. So I said, now's the time in our country when guys like you can take quotes from YouTube science videos produced by guys like me, and when we cover economics, we refer to Trump as the economic illiterate that he indeed is. We say even dumber than tariffs are the idea that low interest rates should be even lower than they already are. Trump, terrible on economics, which is why I never supported him in the primaries. Dumb is as dumb does. Tom says, on a related note, Tom says, oh geez, Tom says, we might agree on the Fed, but unless you want, because he probably doesn't understand the Fed, but unless you want to work for China sweatshop wages, tariffs are good. It's undoing what Clinton did with the NAFTA Act, which isn't an act, it's NAFTA. Research a bit more, Grasshopper. TPPT is not an abbreviation for toilet paper, and the only ones who benefit from any of that malarkey were the multinational corporations. There's a reason everything on every shelf in every store is non-manufactured in China. Mediate on that. I have no idea what that means, but what I said is, Tom, are you having another mental breakdown when the truth is being shoveled into your dense head? Now, Tom does have a know-it-all mentality, but let's talk about the reality of tariffs. There are 43 U.S. manufacturing jobs which use steel and aluminum for every one manufacturing job that produces steel and aluminum. Tariffs are nothing more than a tax. And they're stupid. Now, the people that argue for the Trump tariffs are going to say that they're a macroeconomic bargaining chip, which perhaps is true. However, if no new trade deals occur, all tariffs can do is hurt the consumer. Because it's a tax on the consumers that has to be carried to the consumers by the producers. Kind of like this channel in that respect. Anyway, what happens is the businesses are forced to raise their prices. And then people who don't understand economics blame the businesses for raising their prices when dollars are actually being devalued. That's what we call inflation. And not only do you get higher prices, you also get worse products and services. That's the effect of protectionism. So anyway, enjoy the inflation, enjoy the Europe-style trade nonsense, and the higher food and other prices. Thanks again for shouting us out, Devine. That means you, David Devine. And we're hoping if you don't understand tariffs that you take a visit with a shopping cart and some coupons to Clues RS. Because tariffs are a tax on you and me, folks. They're a tax on you and me. Links in the description to this article also from Reuters about Trump announcing new tariffs on China and crashing the stock market for some stupid reason. It's probably not a good idea to crash the stock market, President Trump. Scientists debating the serious problems regarding the value of the Hubble constant, which is associated with the expansion of the universe and the Big Bang Theory and a whole bunch of other stuff that's supported by absolutely nothing, like the cosmic microwave background. Please read the article, especially you spaced out viewers who understand the first thing about cosmology. Global warming update. The Detroit News reporting, oh my goodness, walloped by heat wave, Greenland sees massive ice melt. Stop the presses. Stop the presses. Greenland is melting, folks. Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do next. Geez, I want to click the X, but it doesn't do anything. So check it out. From Berlin, they're reporting. Look at there's water, and this is at Greenland. So if you're ready to panic, now's the time. Links to the article from Detroit News in the description below the video as well. Let's see. Oh my gosh, look at Greenland. It's burning up. Greenland is burning up, folks. Look at it's pink. Oh my gosh, what is going on in Greenland? All right, now what layer are we on here? What snow depth? All right, let's make sure we're on snow depth. All right, yeah, snow depth. Yeah, all right. And that pink looks like it means there's 9 feet of snow there. Keep in mind, the last week in July and the first 2 weeks in August are the hottest weeks of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. But let's just try to get this to sink in. Oh my gosh, those photographs must have been taken from someplace like here. Let's see if we can get a reading. Oh my gosh, there's no snow there. Let's go a little south. Okay, well there's 143.2 inches. And over here there's more than 5 meters. How about out here? Only 185.2 meters there. Folks, sell your beachfront properties because sea levels are going to rise. There's only a ridiculous amount of snow all over Greenland. Links to that also in the description so you can show your friends how melted Greenland is. Here's the total snow mass from the Northern Hemisphere. I guess I'll leave that on the screen for a minute so it sinks in. And if you're unable to leave comments, we apologize, and we have no freaking idea why. All right. So, there's the snow mass. You notice it's about 4 standard deviations out of the norm here this past winter. And the 2017 to 2018 winter also raised this. We received in the Northern Hemisphere nearly 500 gigatons more snow than normal. And we're still well outside of the standard deviation. Actually, this needs to be updated, but check it out. there's the extent, and it's looking pretty snowy at Greenland. Please leave a comment if you agree, disagree, or want to stalk me. Largest plot ever, 3D scale map of the Milky Way we've ever seen. And I could have sworn it was animated. I don't know. Links to this article also in the description. As the Milky Way galaxy is not a standard spiral, it doesn't appear, which actually feeds into this channel's cosmology. So I don't want to reveal too much information, except that you shouldn't be a zombie and be staring at Android devices or Apple devices. And you should be getting thanked by us for tuning into the stream. Here's another article from Zero Hedge about how the FOMC and the FOMH, which is the Federal Reserve Open Market Commission, by the way, Open Market Committee, I guess it is, talking about dollar peak and higher highs in precious metals. Why? Because inflation is about to happen all around the world. So not only will food prices rise because they're going to rise in real dollars, but they're also going to rise in fake dollars. So get ready for the inflation, because it's all too real, and it's all going to happen in the next year. So hunker down a little bit. Buy some bags of beans and rice, just in case stuff gets a little bit, a little sketchy. Maybe you want to stop giving your dogs pig ear treats, which are disgusting to begin with, but apparently there's been a massive salmonella outbreak, according to feds yesterday. This one from Lehigh Valley Live. Shout out Lehigh Valley Live. If you need a field reporter, you probably can't afford me, but nonetheless, make me an offer. I dare you. Let's look at some more sun views. "94 angstroms. Hey, thanks everybody for leaving comments. We see it. Terrence, I don't know about these super chats. That money, I'm pretty sure that goes directly into Eric Schmidt's bank account. So you may want to just send those through PayPal or something. But in any case, we appreciate it. I'm just not sure where it goes, and it certainly doesn't go to us. I don't know if it raises our monetization or what it does, but we're certainly not a monetized channel, folks. So if you think that we're getting paid because you get to see ads during these videos, you would be incorrect. So if you want to see the channel continue to exist, please support it via things like Patreon, PayPal, Hemp Lucid. And thanks for tuning in. And for all you folks who think I sound stupid when I say, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins. And since it'll never be now again, make sure you stare at the sun. Just use the proper instruments and so on. And cheers, folks. Cheers.